Jai Nrsimha Dev. Namaste Nrsimhaya. Prahlada Ladadaine. Hiranyakashipu Vakshaha. Shilatakaraye. Ito Nrsimha Bharato Nrsimha. Yato yato yamitato Nrsimha. Pahira Nrsimha Viraye Nrsimha. Nrsimha Madim Sharanam Prapatye. Tava Kara Kamalavare Naka Matuta Shringa. Talita Hiranyakashipu Danubringa. Keshavadrita Harari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Krishna, 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 Krishna.
It's all right.
Hey.
It's not sorry, it's hey.
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshama.
Krishna, 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 Bahima.
Rama Raghava, Rama
Raghava,
Rakshama. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Bahima.
Very good, spontaneous wit. Very good.
With like like in airport, one devotee was stopped by the security, the security gate, the screening, and then they asked, "Do you have any sharp objects?" He said,
Only my wit.
"Oh, just my wit."
That's really good.
Okay, we continue.
Okay.
This page, Krishna book, killing of Dantavakra.
Respects are always due. respects are due him, even though such respects can be avoided in the case of an ordinary man. The appearance of Krishna and Balaram is especially meant for the re-establishment of religious principles. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the highest religious principle is to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam also confirms that the topmost perfection of religion is to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. When Lord Balaram saw that Ramaharshana Sutta did not understand the highest principle of religion, in spite of his having studied all the Vedas, he certainly could not support his position. Ramaharshana Sutta had been given the chance to become a perfect Brahmin, but because of his ill behaviour in his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his low birth was immediately remembered. Ramaharshana Sutta had been given the position of a Brahmana, but he had not been born in the family of a Brahmana. He had been born in a Prittiloma family. According to the Vedic concept, there are two kinds of mixed family heritage, called Anuloma and Prittiloma. When a male is united with the female of a lower caste, the offspring is called Anuloma. But when the male unites with a woman of a higher caste, the offspring is called Prittiloma. Oh, sorry, not Prittiloma. Sorry, it was me. Prattiloma. Ramaharshana Sutta belonged to the Prattiloma family because his father was a Kshatriya and his mother was a Brahmana. Because Ramaharshana's transcendental realization was not perfect, Lord Balaram remembered his Prattiloma heritage. The idea is that any man may be given the chance to become a Brahmin, but if he improperly uses the position of a Brahmin without actual realization, then his elevation to the pinnacle position is not valid. After seeing the deficiency of realization of Ramaharshana Sutta, Lord Balaram decided to chastise him for being puffed up. Lord Balaram therefore said, "This man is liable to be awarded the death punishment, because although he has good qualification of being a disciple of Lord Vyasadeva, and although he has studied all the Vedic literature from this exalted personality, he was not submissive in the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, a person who is actually a Brahmin and is very learned must automatically become very gentle also." But although Ramaharshana Sutta was very learned and had been given the chance to become a Brahmin, he had not become gentle. From this we can understand that when
one is puffed up by material acquisitions, he cannot acquire the gentle behavior befitting a Brahmana. The learning of such a person is as good as a valuable jewel decorating the hood of a serpent. Despite the valuable jewel on the hood, a serpent is still a serpent and is as fearful as an ordinary serpent. If a person does not become meek and humble, all his studies of the Vedas and Puranas and his vast knowledge in the Shastras are simply outward dress, like the costume of a theatrical artist dancing on a stage. Lord Balaram considered, "I have appeared in order to chastise false persons who are internally impure but externally boast themselves to be very learned and religious. My killing of such persons is proper to check them from further sinful activity." Lord Balaram had avoided taking part in the battle of Kurukshetra, and yet because of his position, the re-establishment of religious principles was his prime duty. Considering these points, he killed Ramaharshana Sutta simply by striking him with a kusha straw, which was nothing but a blade of grass. If someone questions how Lord Balaram could kill Ramaharshana Sutta simply by striking him with a blade of kusha grass, the answer is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam by the use of the word Prabhu, Master. The Lord's position is always transcendental, and because he is omnipotent, he can act as he likes, without being obliged to the material laws and principles. Thus it was possible for him to kill Ramaharshana Sutta simply by striking him with a blade of kusha grass. At the death of Ramaharshana Sutta, everyone present became much aggrieved, and there was roaring and crying. Although all the Brahmanas and sages present knew Lord Balaram to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, They did not hesitate to protest the Lord's action. They humbly submitted, "Our dear Lord, we think that your action is not in line with the religious principles. Dear Lord Yadunandana, we may inform you that we Brahmanas posted Ramaharsana Sutta on that exalted position for the duration of this great sacrifice. He was seated on the Vyasasan by our election, and when one is seated on the Vyasasan, it is improper for him to stand up to receive a person. Moreover, we are awarded Ramaharsana Sutta. We awarded Ramaharsana Sutta an undisturbed duration of life. Under the circumstances, since your lordship has killed him without knowing all these facts, we think that your action has been equal to that of killing a Brahmana. Dear Lord, deliverer of all fallen souls, we know."
Certainly that you are the knower of all Vedic principles. You are the master of all mystic powers, and therefore the Vedic injunctions cannot ordinarily be applied to your personality. But we request that you show your causeless mercy upon others by kindly atoning for this killing of Roman Harshana Sutta. We do not, however, suggest what kind of act you should perform to atone for killing him. We simply suggest that you adopt some method of atonement so that others may follow your action. What is done by great personality is followed by the ordinary man. The Lord replied, "Yes, I must atone for this action, which may have been proper for me, but is improper for others. Therefore, I think it is my duty to execute a suitable act of atonement enjoined in the authorized scriptures. Simultaneously, I can also give this Roman Harshana Sutta life again, with a span of long duration, sufficient strength and full power of the senses. Not only this, but if you desire, I should be glad to award him anything else you may ask. I should be very glad to grant these boons to fulfill your desires." This statement by Lord Balaram definitely confirms that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is free to act in any way. Although his killing of Roman Harshana Sutta may be considered improper, he could immediately counteract it with greater profit to all. Therefore, one should not imitate the actions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should simply follow the instructions of the Lord. All the great learned sages present realized that although they considered the action of Lord Balaram improper, the Lord was immediately able to compensate with greater profits. Not wanting to detract from the mission of the Lord in killing Roman Harshana Sutta, all of them prayed, "Our dear Lord, the uncommon use of your Kusa weapon to kill Roman Harshana Sutta may remain as it is. Because of your desire to kill him, he should not be brought back to life again. At the same time, your Lordship may remember that we sages and Brahmanas voluntarily gave him long life. Therefore, such a benediction should not be nullified." Thus, the request of all the learned Brahmanas in the assembly was ambiguous because they wanted to keep intact their benediction to that Roman Harshana Sutta would continue to live until the end of the great sacrifice. But at the same time, they did not want to nullify Balaram's killing him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead therefore solved
problem in a manner befitting his exalted position. He said, "Because the Son is produced from the body of the Father, the Vedas enjoin that the Son is the Father's representative. Therefore, I say that Ugrashrava Sutta, the son of Ramaharshana Sutta, should henceforth take his father's position and continue the discourses on the Puranas. And because you wanted Ramaharsana to have a long duration of life, this benediction will be transferred to his son. The son, Ugrashrava, will therefore have all the facilities you offered, a long duration of life in a good and healthy body, with no disturbances and full strength of all the senses." Lord Balaram then implored all the sages and Brahmanas that aside from the benediction offered to the son of Ramaharsana, they should ask from him any other benediction, and he would be prepared to fulfill it immediately. The Lord thus placed himself in the position of an ordinary Kshatriya and informed the sages that he did not know in what way he could atone for his killing of Ramaharshana. but whatever they would suggest, he would be glad to accept. The Brahmanas could understand the purpose of the Lord, and thus they suggested that he atone in a manner befitting, beneficial for them. They said, "Our dear Lord, there is a demon of the name Balvala. He is the son of Ilvala, but he is a very powerful demon, and he visits the sacred place of sacrifice every fortnight on the full moon and moonless days, and creates a great disturbance to the discharge of our duties in the sacrifice. O descendant of the Tasharha family, we all request you to kill this demon. We think that if you kindly kill him, that will be your atonement on our behalf. The demon occasionally comes here and profusely throws upon us contaminated, impure things like pus, blood, stool, urine, and wine. He pollutes this sacred place by showering such filth upon us. After killing Balbala, you may continue touring all these sacred places of pilgrimage for 12 months, and in that way you will be completely freed from all contamination. That is our prescription." Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta birth of the 77th chapter of Krishna, the killing of Dantavakra, Viduratha and Romaharshana, 3 persons
Hare Krishna.
in one blow. Please. Chapter.
Chapter 78, the liberation of Balbala and Lord Balaram's touring the sacred places. Lord Balaram prepared himself to meet the demon Balbala. At the time when the demon usually attacked the sacred place, there appeared a great hailstorm. The whole sky became covered with dust, and the atmosphere became surcharged with a filthy smell. Just after this, the mischievous demon Balbala began to shower torrents of stool and urine and other impure substances on the arena of sacrifice. After this onslaught, the demon himself appeared with a great trident in his hand. He was a gigantic person, and his black body was like a huge mass of carbon. His hair, his beard, and his moustache appeared reddish, like copper, and because of his great beard and moustache, his mouth appeared dangerous and fierce. As soon as he saw the demon, Lord Balaram had prepared to attack him. He first considered how he could smash the great demon to pieces. Lord Balaram then called for his plough and club, and they immediately appeared before him. The demon Balbala was flying in the sky, and at the first opportunity Lord Balaram dragged him down with his plough and angrily smashed the demon's head with his club. Balaram's striking fractured the demon's forehead, making blood flow profusely. Screaming loudly, the demon, who had been such a disturbance, a great disturbance to the pious Brahmins, fell to the ground like a great mountain, with a red oxide peak being struck and smashed to the ground by thunderbolts. Oops.
The inhabitants of Naimisharanya, learned sages and brahmanas, became most pleased by seeing this, and they offered their respectful prayers to Lord Balaram. They offered their heartfelt blessings to the Lord, and all agreed that Lord Balaram's attempt to do anything would never be a failure. The sages and brahmanas then performed a ceremonial bathing of Lord Balaram, just as the demigods bathe King Indra when he is victorious over the demons. The brahmanas and sages honored Lord Balaram by presenting him first-class new clothing and ornaments, and the lotus garland of victory, the reservoir of all beauty, which was never to be dried up, being everlasting in existence. After this incident, Lord Balaram took permission from the brahmanas assembled at Naimisharanya, and accompanied by other brahmanas, went to the bank of the river Kaushiki. After taking his bath in this holy place, he proceeded toward the river Sarayu and visited the source of the river. Traveling on the bank of the Sarayu river, he gradually reached Prayag, where there is a confluence of 3 rivers, Ganges, Yamuna, and Saraswati. Here also he regularly took his bath, worshipped the local temples of God, and, as enjoined in the Vedic literature, offered oblations to the forefathers and sages. He gradually reached the ashram of the sage Pulaha, and from there he went to Gandaki on the river Gomati. After this, he took his bath in the river Vipasha. Then he gradually came to the bank of the Shona river. Brackets. The Shona river is still running as one of the big rivers in the Bihar province. He also took his bath there and performed the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. He continued his travels and gradually came to the pilgrimage city of Gaya, where there is a celebrated Vishnu temple. According to the advice of his father Vasudev, he offered oblations to the forefathers in this Vishnu temple. From here, he traveled to the delta of the Ganges, where the sacred river Ganges mixes with the Bay of Bengal. This sacred place is called Ganga Sagara, and at the end of January every year there is still a great assembly of saintly persons and pious men, just as there is an assembly of saintly persons in Prayag every year called the Magh Mela fair. After finishing his bathing and ritualistic ceremonies at Gangasagara, Lord Balaram proceeded toward the mountain known as Mahendra Parvata, where he met Parashuram, the incarnation of Lord Krishna, and offered him respects by bowing down before him.
After this, he gradually turned towards southern India and visited the banks of the river Godavari. After taking his bath in the river Godavari and performing the necessary ritualistic ceremonies, he gradually visited the other rivers, the Vena, the Pampa, and the Bhimarati. On the bank of the river Bhimarati is the deity called Swami Kartikeya. After visiting Kartikeya, Lord Balaram gradually proceeded to Shailapur, a pilgrimage city in the province of Maharashtra. Shailapur is one of the biggest districts in Maharashtra province. He then gradually proceeded towards the Dravidya Desa. Southern India is divided into 5 parts called Panchadravida. Northern India is also divided into 5 parts called Panchagoda. All the important acharyas of the modern age, namely Sankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvaracharya, and Vishnu Swami and Nimbarka, invented themselves in this Dravidya province. Lord Chaitanya, however, appeared in Bengal, which is part of the five Gauda Deshas. The most important place of pilgrimage in southern India, or Dravida, is Katakala, commonly known as Balaja. After visiting this place, Lord Balaram proceeded towards Vishnu Kanchi, and from there he proceeded on the bank of the river Kaveri. He took his bath in the river Kaveri. Then he gradually reached the Rangasetra. The biggest temple in the world is in Rangasetra, and the Vishnu deity there is called Ranganath. A similar temple of Ranganath is in Vrindavan, although it is not as big as the temple of Rangasetra. While going to Vishnu Kanchi, Lord Balaram also visited Shiva Kanchi. After visiting Rangasetra, he gradually proceeded towards Mathura, commonly known as Mathura of southern India, as the Mathura of southern India. After visiting this place, he gradually proceeded towards Setubandhu, the place where Lord Ramachandra constructed the stone bridge from India to Lanka or Ceylon. In this particularly holy place, Lord Balaram distributed 10,000 cows to the local Brahmin and priests. It is the Vedic custom that when a rich visitor goes to any place of pilgrimage, he gives the local priests horses, cows, ornaments and garments as gifts of charity. This system of visiting places of pilgrimage and providing the local priests, Brahmin priests, with all the necessities of life has gradually deteriorated in this age of Kali. the richest section of the population, because of its degradation in the Vedic culture, is no longer attracted to these places of pilgrimage. And the Brahmana priests who...
I think we have one page.
Yeah.
3 minutes. But Brahmana priests depend on such visitors have also deteriorated in their professional duty of helping the visitors. These Brahmana priests in the places of pilgrimage are called Panda and Pandita. This means that they were formerly very learned Brahmanas and used to guide the visitors in all details of the purpose of coming there, and thus both the visitors and the priests benefited by mutual cooperation. It is clear from the description of Srimad Bhagavatam that when Lord Balaram was visiting the different places of pilgrimage, he properly followed the Vedic system. After distributing cows at Setubandha, Lord Balaram proceeded toward the Kritamala and Tamraparni rivers. These two rivers are celebrated as sacred, and Lord Balaram bathed in them both. He then proceeded toward Malaya Hill. This Malaya Hill is very great, and it is said to be one of 7 peaks called the Malaya Hills. The great sage Agastya used to live there, and Lord Balaram visited him and offered his respects by bowing down before him. After taking the sage's blessings, Lord Balaram, with the sage's permission, proceeded toward the Indian Ocean. At the point of the cape is a big temple of the goddess Durga, where she is known as Kanyakumari. This temple of Kanyakumari was also visited by Lord Ramachandra, and therefore it is to be understood that the temple has been existing for millions of years. From there, Lord Balaram went to visit the pilgrimage city known as Palguna Tirtha, which is on the shore of the Indian Ocean, or the Southern Ocean. Palguna Tirtha is celebrated because Lord Vishnu, in his incarnation of Ananta, is lying there. From Palguna Tirtha, Lord Balaram went on to visit another pilgrimage spot known as Panchapsara. There also he bathed according to the regulative principles and observed the ritualistic ceremonies. This site is also celebrated as a shrine of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, Lord Balaram distributed 10,000 cows to the local Brahmana priests. From Cape Comorin, Lord Balaram turned toward Kerala. The country of Kerala is still existing in southern India under the name of South Kerala. After visiting this place, he came to Gokarna Tirtha, where Lord Shiva is constantly worshipped. Balaram then visited the temple of Arya Devi, which is completely surrounded by water. From that island, he went on to a place known as Shurparaka. After this, he bathed in the rivers known as Tapi, Payoshni, and Nirvindya, and he came to the forest known as Dandakaranya. We end here today.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, hearing these pastimes of Krishna,
Very purified.
spirit purifying, it is one can say one of the main means for watering our Bhaktilata beach, our devotional creeper. So we are therefore very fortunate. Let us remember that we are very fortunate. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have access to this very purifying pastimes. Thank you for joining.